the movements don't have to always be big. So there's times where you're blocking a guy and you're staying in position, and maybe you're not transitioning to a different position, but I'm constantly adjusting and moving. And the reason for this is it's like on the feet, you want that guy dealing with what you're doing as opposed to you reacting to him. This keeps you proactive, and that keeps that guy a step behind you whenever you're wrestling. So if he's constantly adjusting to you, you're always a step ahead, your chances of getting out go up. Another thing that you really want to do is staying compact. I'm a big proponent, and I'm a short guy, I've got little arms, all those things, so I stay really compact. But even long guys, you need to, elbows in, hips tight, legs in, legs together. When you get extended on bottom, that's where a lot of that like special stuff or crafty, long guy turns happen, where you just kind of end up on your back. You're not balanced, you're not explosive, you're not athletic, you can't really move, which again, you want to be moving, constantly adjusting on bottom. And kind of the last thing is the mindset or the mentality when you are training and when you're actually wrestling of no one can hold me down. And that's got to be drilled into your head, and that comes through repetition and practicing and drilling to gain the confidence. But your self-talk alone needs to be, this son of a bitch ain't holding me down. Ain't no way in 2 minutes he's holding me down, or I'm getting out of bounds, I'm starting over, and I'm getting off top. And it was that mindset when I was training that made me intense and ready to wrestle and get off bottom from really good top riders. Because I just knew, if I keep moving, I wrestle hard, I'm getting off bottom. No question. So that has to be a staple in how things go. So my best stuff going into the technique was from my butt. So I was a big wrestler on bottom. I didn't like getting my feet in the Big Ten because a lot of guys like lifting and returning, and they're really good at it. They're trained to do that. So I like getting my butt. You're more athletic from your butt on bottom, and there's a lot more things you can transition to from your butt when you're on bottom. So first thing is how to get there. You start with a good base. I took on my laces because I can adjust here. Guys can't grab ankles as good. I'm also flexible in my hips so I could stay real low. But you're a little bit more than shoulder width apart. Your elbows are in to start, and your hands are on the mat, your head's up. I'm low here. This guy on top starts kind of with whatever ride he wants. He can drive forward, he can try to chop, whatever. I can stay low here, and I can kind of adjust, and then it's one easy step to get to my butt, right? So whenever we get on our toes and we're kind of high up, he starts chopping or doing something, I really have to adjust, and then I end up in a position where I'm low anyways, right? So at the start of the whistle, or before the whistle starts, my first decision is to get in a low stance here, right? And so how I get to my butt and wrestle from there, the simplest way is just to push back into this guy. So if he's on top, he's on my left side, elbows are down, I'm gonna push my weight into him, and it's gonna bump him off. So whistle blows, I push into him here. So we started in the center, we moved off of the center because I'm pushing. We're not moving forward. A lot of your wrestlers, when you first do this, they're gonna wanna lift their knee and slide out. This gets me long, I'm not compact. My arm's out, I can get chopped, I can get sucked back, right? And there's no pressure on this guy. I want pressure from my butt. So again, I start low, I'm here, and I push back into this guy. And then back to one of our big components, I'm compact, right? My knees are in, I'm driving back in, my elbows are in tight. This hand's on the mat, but I'm not worried so much about getting chopped because I keep this elbow bent, and I'm fighting hands. But again, staying compact, driving back into my butt, getting to our base position. The other couple ways to get to your butt, the next one is the one I use all the time. It's a little bit more advanced, but this one kind of guarantees it as long as you move on the whistle, and it's called a changeover. And it's really good if the guy on top is on a side that you don't want to ride or wrestle from. So if he gets on the right side, and maybe I can only do things over here, it's good to train your changeover on this side. right? So I'm in a low base. I'm not very good at pushing back from here, so I'm going to change over. I start with my opposite hand going over my hand. So the same side hand goes over the opposite hand. As I do this, my outside leg comes up here. And then once I'm here, I have to explode and turn my body through to that outside hip. So without a partner, I'm here, legs up, explode through, and I land on this opposite hip. I'm not on my butt, I'm not on the near hip, all the way over. When you're first starting to train this, it's a good idea to raise this hand up as you go. So hand over, knee up, and I go, hand comes up. The reason why is a lot of guys move their hand back when they do this, and it's going to get them chopped or pulled back down. So, again, opposite hand, knee up, explode, hand up. When you get, a good comfortable feel for it, explode, just keep this hand tight. It's the same thing, but again, when you're first drilling it, bringing this up is a good idea. Posting with this hand, anytime you post, again, elbows bent. But right here, I'm on my butt, right? And a lot of times, this guy's on top, he's on the side I don't want him to be on. I change over, now he's on the side I want him to be on. Now we're wrestling like I push back from him. So, those are two options to get to your butt from bottom position. They're good in different situations. Like I said, if a guy's on the wrong side, changing him over is good. A lot of times I feel like if a guy's arm chopping me real hard or he's really looking to get his leg in, pushing back's good. If he's on top and I'm trying to change over and he's a leg rider, this is a good time for him to slip the leg up and in. So maybe that's where if I know he's a leg rider, that's where I'm going to push back and stay low. Right? So they're good options for different situations. The last one is a knee slide. And I knee slide a little different than like a traditional knee slide to get to your butt or to get to a knee slide position. Just because my coach who taught me this, Pat McNamara, he was really big on leg riding. This, again, helps keep out the legs. And this is really good for your not super athletic guys or longer guys who are kind of, I wouldn't say uncoordinated, but not super explosive or super strong. This keeps you in a good position where you don't get knocked off your base. So the last way to get to your butt, this guy's on top. I'm going to knee slide into this guy. So it's kind of the same motion as your change over. This inside knee comes up, but instead of crossing my hands over, this hand's going to come to my hip, and this opposite knee is going to slide through here. And I get to my butt. If you can rest on that ankle, that's fine. I really don't want to be on my toe. But again, guys on the same side, here, elbow comes into my hip, outside knee comes up, or inside knee comes up, and I slide through, here gets my butt. Now here, again, elbows bent, this foot's out in front, and I'm pushing back into it, okay? This elbow's tight, and I'm kind of at an angle here. I'm on my butt on this side. That, or I'm on my ankle. And the reason why I'm at this angle is if he tries to take me in any direction, I have an answer for it. So if he tries to push forward, I can let him push me up to my feet. If he tries to take me, arm chop this side, that's fine, I can get to my butt. If he tries to take me the other direction for an arm chop or whatever, this leg's blocking. That's why the angle's there. And if he tries to suck me back, I'm already on my butt, I can just move backwards. So again, that's a really safe position to get your wrestler to, especially if maybe they're a little longer, they're not the most athletic guy. They have a lot of options to keep them based out. Where the other ones, you have to be a little bit more coordinated and athletic to get to. Low center of gravity and all that. So again, those are the three ways I used to use to get to my butt. And again, I like the butt position, because I'm going to show in a minute. I have so many more options as opposed to standing up, and I don't think you have to be as extremely explosive to get there. So 3 in a row, just real quick to go over it. Pushing back in, staying tight, good position. He's on top. I change over here. Again, once I get here, this is kind of like a knee slide position. Here, if he pushes forward, goes right, goes left, I have a counter. And then it doesn't matter which side. Third one. Inside knee up, elbow tight, slide out to my butt. Here. 3 ways to get to my butt from this position. So once we get to our butt, this is where, if I could get to my butt easy, I was getting out. As soon as I got to my butt, I knew this is over. I'm getting a point. And you just have to get that confident and comfortable, and the only way to get that is reps. But again, it's the mindset of, I'm getting out no matter what. So I hit my butt, I'm gone. There's no way you're holding me. So I'm on my butt. We talked a little bit about, holding this good position. So if an arm drops down to hold myself, that's fine. Just keep it bent. So when your arm goes straight or your arm gets wide from your body, that's where you get in trouble. Here. So I'm elbows bent. If he tries to move me or whatever, that's okay. I can catch myself, elbow bent. Elbows in, I'm trying to keep his hands out. So when my elbows are out, he really digs good claws, halves, claw right across. He can pry on my waist. It's hard to deal with. So elbows in, I'm compact. I want my heels dug in, back pressure into this guy. The reason for that is if my legs get long here, you're definitely getting sucked back, right? And there's no way I can stop it because I'm not compact to move. If I keep my heels dug in with good back pressure, he goes to suck me back. I can put my hands down, drive, and adjust. Keep moving, keep adjusting. So again, we're right here. My head's kind of up. I'm not letting this guy drive me forward and put a lot of pressure. Back pressure right here. Good position. Now the first thing I want to do is get hand control here. So right here he's under both my arms. All you need is to get one hand out. 2 hands is preferable, but all you need is the one hand out and you have a chance to get away. Good. And what you don't want to do is drop in and start fighting this guy's wrists. That's probably what this guy wants. Because now he can kind of reach up, he can go cross wrist, he can fight the other wrist, he can pull his hands back, he can put a leg in, he can point you to a crab ride. Wrist doesn't do you any good. You have to go for the fingers. Preferably, I like going 2-on-1, 2 hands to 1, because now even if he tries to get a wrist and he gets it, I can just figure out, now I got both hands out, right? So whenever you fight one hand to one hand is whenever he cross-wrists you, he kind of gets the advantage, right? So 2 hands to 1 hand here, and I'm grabbing his fingers. He can't use his hand anymore once I get his fingers. Can't grab it, right? Fingers or thumb. I don't know, in high school, can you grab the thumb anymore? You have to have the whole hand. They used to let me grab the thumb, so I used to just rip that thing off. Yeah. So I grab this hand here, fingers. I take it out, put it on the mat, right? I don't need to keep my arm bent here because he can't shot me on this side. Once it hits the mat, I keep it there until I decide to hip heist and get out, right? Same thing the other side, I'm here. If I get both, that's fine. I put them on the mat. I don't want him up because there's a chance he can kind of wiggle his hand and fight it out. I want to get pressure on the mat on his fingers. Get that weight on those fingers. Once you get his hands out, he can't hold me. I don't even really need to do a technique. He just can't hold me because he doesn't have his arms. So the main thing that we're going to do first is we're here, 2 hands to 1. Again, I'm keeping my base here. My elbows are still in. I'm still pressuring back just in case he tries anything. And I take those fingers out, put it on the mat. Now I can get to my sit-out series. Okay? If this guy's just got like AJ shot, he had just like an iron grip, and I didn't even want to go 2 hands to 1 and fight that because I'm thinking there's a good chance he goes up and he does get my wrist, and I ain't getting it back. So one thing I used to do, and I still do, when I rarely practice bottom, is you'll slap it out. So this elbow for a split second, whichever side you're going to slap it out, comes up briefly, and opposite hand comes and it's just going to shove that arm through as I close it off. So if we're wrestling here, I'm kind of adjusting, I slap it out. Right? It's the same thing on the opposite side, slap it out. Once it's slapped, that elbow stays tight, and I'm not letting them get back in. A lot of guys are going to either come over the top or they'll dig. Doesn't matter. This arm doesn't come up because that's my free gateway out. Right? I don't need his hand. I prefer it, but I don't need his hand. I get one hand out, I'm gone. Okay? So again, our two options here: 2 hands for 1. Plant it on the mat. Now we can get to our series, or slap it out. Elbow comes down. Usually when you slap one, as he's trying to get that other wrist in, that's a good time to get that other hand out here. So slap, slap, now I'm ready to go. Even if his hands are over my arms, I can sit out, turn in, whatever I need. Alright, so that's getting into your butt, getting to a spot where we can leave. Now we get to the really, I think, like the cool stuff is actually hip heisting. So start on bottom, he gets on top, I push back in, I'm in good position. Right here, I don't need to clear his hand, right? He's outside of me. On this side, I beat him, we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and collect these fingers though, put it on the mat. It's a good habit to practice. And now we're gonna go from here. But again, you don't need this hand collected. It's outside of my body, right? So I'm gonna collect this one. Once we're here, I'm gonna push back. We're gonna work on a hip heist turn out. That's the number one. Always your first option. If you can hip heist turn away, you're getting out. So I'm here, heels dug in, and I push back. And when you actually decide to hip heist is when your butt comes off this mat. So I'm gonna drive, push, my butt comes off the mat an inch, I'm going. So again, I'm driving, I push, that's when I hip heist right away. Again, a good way to practice it too, before I forget, you know, pretty much everyone in the mom has done wall sit drills where coaches get on the wall, hip heist wall drills. This is how you get your timing down, your speed. You get on that wall, and you imagine this guy's on, and you push, and as soon as their butt comes off that mat, you tell them to hip heist. So they're here, comes off, I hip heist through, they should be out. So, the technical parts of the hip heist, once I seal, I'm going towards the hand that's on my stomach, right? So if this is the one that's on my stomach, I clear it, I'm going to that hand. If I go this way, there's a potential that he can, as I go, I let go, he can wrap me, and he follows through. So I go to the hand that's on my stomach. If I got this sealed, I'm going this way, right? Because this is the hand that's on my stomach. So that's step one, is what direction am I deciding to go, right? Again, I'm driving back into him with my heels. It's important when I drive though, I keep my butt down. A lot of guys are going to want to do this and bring their hips up before they go. All my power's gone. No longer am I driving back into the guy, but I'm resting my back on him. And that creates no momentum, creates no force that I can use to hip heist. Because the force of the hip heist isn't coming from me generating motion with my hips. I am moving my hips fast, but it's actually the pressure I'm creating against this guy. So if I'm here and I'm pushing, that's going to be a strong hip heist. If I'm resting my head and getting my hips up, this isn't going to be very good. It can't be fast. There's no momentum. All of it's on him. Where when I push and I get my back up, now there's a lot of momentum going that way. And I'm going to use that to explode. So here, hand out, push, butt comes up. When my butt comes up, this is the good part. I'm rotating my hips in the same spot here. So I'm not turning over and landing outside of the same area. I'm rotating my hips as fast as I can in the same spot here. And the momentum that we created from the pressure from our back is pushing us away. So that's how you get separation. So I'm here and I hip heist, I turn my hips over in the same spot here. The best hip heist, and what you want to strive to get to, is you don't have to touch your hands before you hit the mat. Right? So it's whenever you go here, and I have to put my hands down, I land here. Could be a good hip heist. The best one is whenever you come here, and get to our butt, maybe he's under both arms, doesn't matter. Push it out. If I'm here, I should go to the right, because this is the arm that's on my belly. Right? I push, butt comes up, hip heist, hips turn over in the same spot, use that momentum, wrestle. Here. Once I'm here, it's not over, I don't just stand up, I'm wrestling up. I'm in a good stance and transition. A lot of times I've seen guys on our team, they'll hit beautiful hip heists, they'll hit here, and then they'll start stepping up. Guy gets too much double leg, single leg, they either score 2 off of it, so now you just lost a point, or you don't get off bottom. They get in on your leg right away, you don't get away, again, you lose a point there. So, really important you transition and you continue to wrestle at all times. So, the whole sit out, turn out. Do change over. So I'm here, change over, get to my butt, this guy follows. I can collect his fingers right here. If not, that's fine. I'm turning this way. I push back in, hips come up, hip heights down. Now I'm ready to wrestle. Again, this is the number one, because when you do this right, there's just no way he can follow you. Your space is so big that unless you just like fall asleep, I really don't see how this guy can get around you. So even if he, try following me. So I'm here, even if you try to follow me, there's too much space between me and his body that he has to really do something drastic to follow. And again, it's just not there. So, that's your number one. That's probably 85% of my escapes came from that position, hitting that move. When you do it right, when you change over and you go right into it, you should get out in like 2 seconds. You know, there was a lot of escapes from this good guy where it was boom, boom, gone. All because you're in such good position. He's so far behind in that race. We keep moving. Guys can't hold you. Okay? So the next option from our butt is a sit out, turn in. So I push back maybe I'm really struggling, or this guy's bringing a lot of pressure to where I can't get my hips off the mat quite as good. Maybe he's really top heavy, maybe he's sucking me back, maybe he's got a strong tight waist. It's keeping me from getting good pressure and turning out. A lot of those sticky guys, like if I was wrestling Lezak, I'd probably sit out, turn in once just to get him to pressure me, because he's so good at not pushing but pulling you into his chest, so there's no pressure, right? So I got to create some pressure and motion. So that's where the sit out, turn in comes in. So I get to my butt, and he's under both arms of me. Ideally, collect the fingers here. I can get out. If not, I'm going to sit out, turn in. Take my elbow and I put it to the mat back. Here. Now, I'm showing this step by step, but obviously when I do this, it's all one motion through. So elbow goes to the mat. Once my elbow's on the mat, my head follows right under my elbow here. And as it hits, I'm rotating up on the same side to here. Once my head hits, this outside foot steps way up, and I want to get it over here. The further I step and the more I rotate, the better angle I get on this turn, or on this sit-out. So I'm here, elbow hits, head down, big step. Once I step, elbow comes back to my body, and now I can circle through. So this guy's on top. I'm here, elbow down, head follows, big step, elbow back. Now there's a good amount of space here that he has to run in and pressure. Now, if I hit a good enough one, I might be able to get my arm up, keep going and fire. But a lot of the time, I don't use this as a means to get away right away. It's for guys who are really good on top at sucking you back and not giving you a ton of pressure, to force them to follow you, to force them to chase you. So I'm here, I sit, turn. Now maybe he follows all the way behind me. I push, there's my pressure. Right? Hip heights, turn away. Go over those little details again. Push back. He's not really pressuring too much, so elbow down, here, head under the elbow. I rotate on this inside toe, outside leg steps up big. Same elbow on the mat, comes back to my hip, and now I'm wrestling. Circling on my feet, staying in that tripod position. Okay? So, sure I didn't miss anything. If this guy's pressuring super hard, just normally, and he's really trying to put you on your head or get hung up like this. When I push back in, pressure, it's real easy to just come to your feet. So that's kind of like your last option from that position where the guy's pressuring hard. Maybe you can't quite turn in or turn out because he's overdoing it. Now, I've seen this a lot in high school where kids kind of get here and they're like, I can't do anything. We'll just push back a little bit and he'll push you right up to your feet. So that's kind of like the last little thing you can do. But other than that, that's the whole basics of the series. You know, and those two moves chained together in combination with getting to your butt, that should get you out of 95 to 100% of your matches. If you just chain and mix in when you do what, you have options to get away from anyone in the world. So, one drill I like to do, just to train that, is have them shadow wrestle on bottom, and they can go slow at first, but feel how you can transition between inside sit to outside sit, to change over, to pushing back, to outside, to, how to kind of continue through. So you get them in the middle, you start them on a 30-second timer, and you tell them to go. So you push back, there's my inside sit, right in my outside sit, change over, pushing back to another inside, right? And I'm going slow and I'm doing these moves, but I'm figuring out the flow of how to chain together those combinations. And that's really what's important on bottom, right? Continuously moving and adjusting and making this guy follow. Because it's whenever I get to a situation where I'm on bottom, maybe my initial start is good, turn in, and then we stop moving. Now I'm in trouble, right? Instead of maybe I'm moving a little bit, get this hand and push it back, I hesitate. Now he can get to where there's a lot of pressure. He's got my wrist now. Bottom got significantly more difficult, right? So again, keys to that series, keys to everything on bottom. I gotta keep moving. That's why you practice that shadow wrestling in motion. I stay compact. Whenever I'm hitting these sit-outs, I'm stepping big. I'm not getting way out here where I'm long. My knees are bent. I'm still pretty compact, right? When I'm hip heisting, the only time I got long really is when I hip heist over, and even then I'm not getting fully extended. I'm just turning my hips. I'm compact. I'm moving, right? And then, you got to be a little patient here. Really good guy on top. It can take 30 seconds to a minute to get out of me moving and this guy following and chasing. That's okay as long as you continue to move, you stay compact, you stay focused, right? Make sure they really understand that patience is kind of what's going to get you through this. Don't get frustrated if it wasn't boom, boom, now I'm out. Could take 5-6 minutes. So keep that in mind. Next one, the stand-up series. Stand-ups are okay. I think they're pretty good for some guys, real explosive guys in particular, and then kids who, sometimes you're trying to teach them moves that are technical and they just don't pick it up. You know what I mean? Where teaching them the finer points of wrestling is that hard. There's a certain stand-up that's kind of made for them. And grindy kids too can be pretty good at stand-ups. But again, the reason why I don't prefer it is there's a lot of schools, especially Big Ten. I know, you're well aware, we teach lift and return, lift and return. And when you stand up on a guy who's good at lift and returning, you're kind of asking to get ridden because they're trained to deal with that. They're not good at following good hip pressure and movement on bottom. But man, if you stand up on them, they'll lift and return you all day. And they're built for it. So keep that in mind. Why I prefer a sit out. But a stand up is a good move. I'm not trying to trash talk the stand up. I'm just saying I think it is inferior to the sit out position. So, a couple stand-ups, positions that I like to use. One is like the basic one that we all know, is the inside explosive stand-up. So he's on top. I'm pretty low center of gravity. My hips move pretty well, and I got a lot of power, so I'm good from my laces flat here still. Maybe some guys, they really need to be on their toes, right? That's fine. But again, I can do a lot from my laces tucked, and I think, again, it's a superior thing to practice. So here, he's inside, right on the whistle, and it's about that jump on the whistle. I'm here, my elbows are even maybe a little more compressed so I can get a little extra push, and I push from up here. And it's the same thing as that knee slide position, but I'm off my butt. It's the only difference here. Pressure, and if he pushes forward, I can come up. If he tries to pull me back, I can just let it happen, go to my butt. If he tries to push me one way, I can post, come up to my feet. If he tries to take me this way, I'm blocking. Now I can pressure, come up. Same thing. So instead of straight out, just a little bit of an angle, right? Once I get here, again, a key is really this hand control battle. A lot of guys, they'll stand up and they'll throw their hands way up, and that's where this guy's just going to get his hand set. A lot of guys who are really tricky on top, they'll lock their hands right away because they know you're stepping up. So you'll step up, they lock their hands right away. Now I'm getting lifted, I'm in a lot of trouble. So, again, I'm here, I'm looking at that ref, and I'm waiting for those, big old fat cheeks to puff up, and as soon as they do, man, I'm taking off here. My head's up, looking upward, because I want to head up and out. So right here, a lot of people like pivoting. I like just stepping forward, because I think that pulls that guy's momentum into you, and you can use it for pressure. Right? So I'm here, and I step straight forward. So I step straight forward, and now I'm into a really good stand-up position. I was saying we were Perler guys earlier, we used to drill this all the time, is isolating your hip. So I want one hip pointing straight out, the other hip back. I'm kind of turning my body. This puts a lot of pressure on his hands, right? From here, I need to make sure, should not have squatted and done RDLs yesterday because my legs are tired. So I want to squat down and put pressure. Standing up is okay, but again, there's not as much pressure on this guy. I really want my butt down. Now he feels my weight. Get this hand, get the fingers, isolate the hip, and put it in my back pocket. If he has his hands locked, the reason why we really want to isolate is now I can put way more weight on this lock. Whenever we're in the middle when we're doing this, it can be heavy, but it's not as much as right on that hip bone here, right? So again, we're up, we're on our feet, I step up, get that hip isolated, hand comes to our back pocket. And now, if we drop straight down to my butt, it's the same position, right? All I am is I'm on my feet. So I come up, my knees are bent, I'm in good position, back pressure for momentum, turning into his arm. Now I'm ready to rust. I go all the way to the mat instead of chopping through, even if it's excessive, because a lot of times guys will chop through and they get dropped right into a single leg. I used to watch David Taylor, man, he'd let you get up and then he'd ankle pick you. Like he'd let guys here and then he'd loosen up, guys would turn, and he'd blast. So again, even if, I know it's like they're going to get tired in practice, they're going to be sick of drilling this, but force them to do it the right way. If you're going to turn down or hip heist, get all the way down and back. Right? Because that might be your one shot to get out. When you spend 45 seconds working hard, this is your one opportunity. So, the other one is just a knee slide stand up here. It's the same thing as earlier, that inside knee, but I like this one because you don't have to be as explosive. So again, inside knee out, elbow to your butt, or elbow to your hip, sliding out to your butt. From here, we're going to get hand control first, rather than come up, because I've already isolated him. I don't want to risk having to get my hands out from my body for balance issues, right? I've already got him sealed, I've got him beat, get his hands now. Now I can push back in, get that hip isolated, turn out, okay? Fake, this was the one for those guys who are kind of slow students of the game. Maybe they're real grimy wrestlers. I know there was a Wolf, Oak Park kid. He'd wear guys out with this. Not the most athletic dude, but man was he gritty and tough. So this is where that comes in. If you got a kid that's just meaner than heck and tough, this is the move for him. So, not super athletic. So we're here, and this is just a tripod stand-up. This guy's chopping us or whatever, that's fine. I'm gonna get my feet really wide before I go. So my knees are wide, and I slide my feet outside. And right here, kind of like my sit-out, I'm gonna push up and back into this guy into a quad pod position, here. I keep my knees bent, not straight, not quite as balanced, but knees are bent. And from here, I mean, again, it's kind of about grinding up and being tough. This guy's gonna be chopping and moving us. I just stay tough. I keep pushing until I can get my chest up off the mat. Once I'm here, drop my hips down, now we're in. Now that one, again, it's more about kind of grinding your way up. And I don't like it as much because there's not a lot of movement to it, but even if this guy's going hard, eventually I'm gonna get up, right? And it's really just about being tough. So it's ugly, but it works. So give a little bit of a feel on top. So he's really grinding, he's trying to chop me down, feet out wide, there's a lot of pressure. I just keep pushing my butt back, get control here, okay? Isolate, hips out, and I'm free. So one, from your feet, Isaiah Martinez does this one a lot. If you've got an athletic guy, or just a crazy kid, they can do this. So this guy's trying to lift and return me here, right? And I can't break his block, or maybe I'm not, dropping my hips well. As this guy either tries to lift and return, or as he's running me forward, I take that momentum and I do a forward, not forward, but Granby forward. So he's lifting, whatever, up, and my foot hits, I'm going down. I balance myself with my foot, so I get my angle. Isaiah used to just go straight over his body. Yeah. And he was so freaky strong, I mean, he'd throw guys off the line. The more technical version is this guy lifts, we're going forward, I put my foot down, and I roll through with it. That's why, on a side note, when you lift and return, you don't go forward, you put them straight down, how big stuff. But, so that's one way to get outside of doing this stuff. The other thing is when you get to your feet and you're trying to get out, sometimes you're starting to isolate and you feel like you're kind of vulnerable to getting picked up here. So maybe I isolate, he kind of steps around, he's starting to pick me up. I need to do kind of the opposite thing that what I was telling you to do. This is where you drop your chest and you push on his hips. So if I'm having trouble here, I can't, and he's got like, some guys just crazy tight lock, and I'm in trouble. So this is where you kind of just start fighting with his hips. So I'm here, give a little lift. I drop down and I'm pushing his hips back. Now once I get space, I could drop back into isolation. And right here, it's kind of just a little dance of blocking his hips, switching to isolation. Blocking his hips, switching to isolation. The reason why we fight so hard here is because I did all this work to get to my feet. I need to make it count, right? It's hard to get up. So once we're up here, let's keep moving. Let's fight it here rather than back down on the mat. So this guy's locked, and then just, spar a little bit here. So I'm here, I'm blocking, isolation, blocking, hands are locked, I can go. So you're moving down, up, trying to fight through here. You don't got to be athletic to do it. You just got to be diligent about transitioning from here to here, okay? Last thing, sit-out guy, what he can do is use this edge of the circle. So if I'm having trouble getting my lock broken and I'm isolating, I might kind of let this guy push me to this edge. This guy's usually going to see it. He's really going to run you out of bounds. Now's a good time to switch him. So I fake one way. He starts to react. Use that momentum. Hip heist. Again, all it does is it keeps you moving. It gives you one last option before you're going out of bounds. So we're here. I can't get his hand broken. I'll let him run me close. He sees that edge. Right? I can fake like I'm going this way. He reacts, switch to the other side. And all that is technically is I'm faking like I'm hip heisting that direction, hip heist the opposite. So that's pretty much. Oh yeah, one last. If you are getting lifted, as he's starting to lift, hooking inside his foot is going to prevent you from going up. Preferably, I actually like outside. I think it's a little bit stronger. It's more awkward to get to. But this guy can't physically pick himself off the mat. And that's all that does. It makes you a part of his body. Now I've got to be ready as he might try to inside trick me. So as soon as he lifts, he can't, I transition back down to isolation. But for a split second, if I'm starting to go up in the air, I can block him, now I can come on. That's kind of like a safe, fail-safe to keep you up in the air. So, that's pretty much the feet. Again, that's more, I think, coming to your feet's more grindy. I don't know what you guys think. I think it's the #1 high school like this.
All right.
You know, one changeover. The guy's got a super deep tight waist. Changeover is pretty good. Even if it's tight. Because as soon as I turn like this, it shifts his weight off of me, and it loosens up that arm. He's got also a super deep tight waist. Again, pushing back in is pretty good because it drops my hips away from that pressure, and it gets me to my butt. The trick that I like the most, if I'm really struggling here, is I call it elbowing off. So if he's, maybe he's even getting me forward a little bit. He's just driving. I can't like turn. I don't go with the pressure. I fight it. I go into the pressure. I take my elbow and I bump him. All I do is I turn my body. It's kind of like a fat man roll, but instead of hooking his elbow, I'm just taking my same elbow and bumping him. Turn, elbow off. This usually creates a ton of space. And the deeper that guy's tight waist is, the better this move works. So again, he gets like, yeah, just super deep. He's cranking, he's got it deep. I turn, elbow off. It gets real tight for a split second, and then all of a sudden when you hit him with that elbow, you get all this room. Again, I don't even really need to hip heist. You just gotta get his hand and walk away from the fight, right? So that's my #1. If he's just locked down tight waist, elbow off, bump. The other thing you can do, I don't like this one very much. Chris Perry from Oklahoma State was really good at it, is an elevator. So this guy is kind of tight waisting you, and I'm gonna look back, and the better you get, you can feel it, and I'm gonna see this ankle up my butt. And I'm gonna take my outside foot and hook that ankle here. So as I turn and sit into him, I lift my foot up, picking his leg up. That's another kind of crafty way. You know, if you got really long guys who, like scrambling, that's a good way to get guys home. So again, tight waist, I want to get to my butt. It's trouble. I look back, inside hook this ankle, turn, elbow. Kicking that foot up and over. That's going to get a bunch of separation. Now I can rest. Used to train with Keith Serber back in high school. And these are more for like timing and scouting. Is if he's chopping and tight waisting on the whistle, these are more like on the whistle moves. As he's chopping, I can slap belly stand up. So he goes to chop, I limp arm to his belly, and I stand up. And that kind of dodges all the pressure for a split second. Now I can get to my feet. The one problem is I'm really open to him getting hand control here. But if all I have to worry about is the tight waist, I'll take hand control on my feet rather than being chopped down. So again, I'm getting set. I'm looking at the ref. As he blows the whistle, this hand comes up. Limp it out, hand comes high, back down to ceiling. The next one is a Granby off the whistle timed. So again, I know it's coming. I know it's a good chop. As he blows, my feet come up. I don't cross step on this one because I think even that half a step might take too long. So I just move my hips up. As he chops, I roll over my head. Now a lot of guys go over their shoulders. That works. And that one's a lot more traditional. I do opposite head cartwheel. So I want this side of my head, if he's on this side, I want this side of my head to touch the mat. Angel Escobedo did this in the Big Ten Finals against Matt McDonough. It was nasty, nasty. Got out pretty quick. So, we're here. He's starting to chop. My feet come up. My opposite head is hitting the mat here. And I like that more because the roll you can kind of follow, and this gets more separation, right? So if I'm here and I roll, even if it's a good timed one, he can let go and follow. We're still kind of close enough to where there's a chance of that. If you go opposite head here, there's a lot more space involved. Now he may, start wrestling, but I have at least more time to deal with it. A lot more motion involved. And again, we want to increase motion, increase movement from bottom. Next one is ankle. There's kind of less options from the ankle here. I know a lot of guys get hung up on this one where they go, cross ankle or even near ankle. Again, less options, but when I had a guy grab my ankle, I was like, dude, you're scrub city because I'm for sure getting out on you. Like, this is guaranteed I'm out if you do it right. So wide base, he goes cross ankle. Right away, I just put pressure, kind of get to that knee slide position. Same ankle, knee comes up, and I grab the fingers, not the wrist, fingers. Once I'm here, I got it. Because from here, he has to pressure me, for one, and two, his hips are so far back that when I hip heist, it doesn't even have to be very good. He's out of position. And I've got his fingers right away. So I could sit here for a second, push pressure, set up. Now I'm ready to hip heist. Now, if your guy sits here on the whistle and he goes and he gets an ankle and he sits here for a second, yeah, it's going to be pretty tough. Because now he is going to get your ankle off the mat and he's going to Derek St. John you to a national championship. But if I know he's an ankle grabber, and as soon as I feel his hands come off and switch, I'm out. All you got to do is stay tough right here. Get his fingers, take your time, get to your butt. Perfect position. You can even fight this hand out if you want. Right? So that's kind of the key to that. The other one, laces flat, especially if you know the guy's going to grab your ankle. If he's going ankle, I can post tension if I really want to. That's not very good grip for him. Now I can get to where I want. That's more passive. I like the proactive approach of turning up, getting to your butt. So usually strong and limber, but he didn't have very good starts on the bottom, so we had to teach him this, and he got away from everything. But I get extremely wide, chest almost unapproachable for the top guy, low and wide. This guy gets on top, and then right away I'm dropping down, sealing off. Right now, when I say we want to constantly be moving, I am moving down here. I am adjusting to his pressure. It's just not a lot. Right? The keys whenever I do drop down is one, I do want to be on this forehead here for balance. I don't want to be on the top, or I don't want to be on my chin because now I'm dangerously close to being flat. And more importantly is this elbow is locked into my hip. So there cannot be any space between my elbow and my hip here. And it's on a line with my leg. Maybe outside, never inside. This is danger, this is good. This is probably best, but I'm still lined with my quad. That way there's no space, he's not getting in. And you have to beat him right here. So maybe you don't move your body to beat him, but this has to win. So we're on top, whistle blows, and I'm right here. I'm not too worried about a leg, because I can block here, right? And I can adjust to anything he does. If he tries to chop me forward, if he tries to suck me back, I can move. Once I'm here, this hand does most of the fighting. I get his fingers. Now I can do what I want. Get to my butt, get to a knee slide, get to my feet, whatever you need to do. But that's more, you just got a guy and he's like, man, do you not see the ref blowing the whistle, All right, we're going to teach you this. You get that elbow in tight, and you struggle down there, right? Not struggle, but that's where the fight happens, right? And again, this part is the feel that they need to get, more so than really fighting hands or anything. Because as long as this stays tight, I'm gonna win this position. So whenever that happens, where my elbow comes out here, or my hand comes in to fight here, I get cross wrist, or my chest comes up and now he can get a claw, right? Down low, this elbow tight, hand out. So that's post. Real good way to beat the claws, beat the inside on the whistle. But if he gets a claw ride here, I think the best way to beat it is with the changeover. Right, so I'm here, I go over, he kind of has to let it go, otherwise he's probably going to fall over him. Right, and even if he's tight, he's still falling. Now he's chasing me behind, and there's no more pressure. Where the pressure that he's giving me is what I want. Push back, with his hand, now I can fight his other hand. Right? If you're here, and you can't move, like maybe he's maybe he's just locking you down. Ideally, I do want to push back, get to my butt, 2 fingers in one, 2 hands in one. That way, if he tries up or comes up to get my wrist, I can finger out or thumb out here, stop him from getting my wrists. Pulls you into a crab ride here. All right, this is one. It's becoming more popular in high school. I see it a lot in college still. It's tricky. It's really awkward and not fun to deal with. So for starters, I don't want his have to be super tight. So I try to fight that. If he has it, that's okay. The real first thing I need to worry about is my feet. Right? So what I need to do is he's hooking here and he's trying to get me long. I have to kick out and over to beat that foot. Now that leg's free. I do the same thing on the other side. So if he's really trying to lock it down, I kick out and over. Now that leg is free. Once I'm here, I try to separate his hips. Here. He wants to control, squeeze, and pull me up on him. If I pull his hips apart here, he has trouble keeping me in his pocket. Now the 2 best solutions that I got. Again, these are all tricky because this is a really sticky, not grindy, but sticky, kind of hard situation to deal with. It's more traditional, where I'm sliding down and away and looking to turn, right? I can reach for his head as I turn, get under an arm, or get under a leg. Under a leg is only good if I really commit to it. If I get my arm under and I slow play it, he can trap my arm, now I'm in a lot of trouble. So I really need to slide down far, 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 get under this leg like it's a takedown position. And I'll talk about it later, but from there, you get your 1 point. Don't try to reverse it. The 1 point is way more valuable to get rather than that 2-pointer. Because you have a chance to score takedowns. Maybe you go for the reversal, you get it. Maybe you don't. You just wasted all that energy and you got 0 points. Get your 1 point, let go of that leg. So back to the crab ride. The other good option, and you can hit this kind of right away, is going straight back here. Right? Now, ideally, again, I need my legs free to do this. This is why it's good to hit it right away, but I can do it after I've cleared my legs. But all I'm going to do is as I'm getting rolled, I get my feet set, my hands set, and I explode backwards as I double grab his head here. Right? Now, some guys, I don't know how they do it, but some guys can kind of roll with. That's fine. It creates motion. We could slide down. We can get them off of us. We could go. But again, the big key here is I got to have my legs free, my arms free, and I'm going straight back. Like right here. Maybe he follows us, but this is okay. I can get his fingers, get to my knee slide, get to my butt, start wrestling. So again, two big options you got here is boom, he tries to crab. He's got my legs hooked. I free kick him, free him out. Pull his hips wide and slide. Once I get here, or once I get my feet out, I have urgency, but I can really take my time and get a good slide. He's in horrible position right now. Right. So take your time once you get your feet out. and work hard about slowing down. Again, same thing goes, not the same thing, but a good option is right away here, slow back, now we're wrestling, right? The key to that one is knowing you're going to do it, committing to it, and continuing wrestling. Because it's not going to stop wrestling once you roll. He can follow you. He's good. He's tough. But you get a huge advantage, and a lot of time it catches him off guard. It was basically two things happened. That guy was extremely good with the leg, and he got it in before I could stop him. Or I stood up on my feet in the Big Ten Finals against an Iowa guy, and he lifted in return like 10 times. So, you wonder why I don't like to stand up. I still have nightmares about that match, but man, if I would have just freaking sit out, it would have been easy. The legs. So the legs is probably, it's the most frustrating thing to deal with because you could be really phenomenal at getting out of them, and a guy could be okay on top of the legs, and I mean, you know, you're a pro guy, I know his practices were long, but legs are just hard to get out of. It's a real dominant position if a guy does it right. So, and this is like the stupidest saying ever, but it's true. You know, don't let him in. Like, it's the best way to find him. But there's an art to not letting him in, right? I gotta make sure I'm doing all of them right because there's a ton of them. All right. So my couple things to do. One, if I know a guy's a leg rider, I'm not in a rush to, like, unless I can. Maybe once I'll try to change over and go. But a lot of time, I'm not in a rush to get out. It's going to take me a while to get out anyways. I might as well be careful and keep moving. So he's a leg rider on top. He gets set. I'm sealing off. Right? And as I'm sealing off, I'm not as worried about his hands as I am worried about where my hips to my arms are located. So if my arm gets away from my body, I got to make sure that gets back to seal. And I'm really paying attention where his knees and legs are here. Because anytime it gets dangerously close to getting in, I'm blocking this leg, I'm grabbing an ankle, I'm trying to throw it out. Some of those leg riders, man, they don't care if they're in bad position to start, they'll force it in. And if you let them force it in, it's gonna be hell. So you have to be diligent about not giving them that position, if this is your strategy. So again, I'm here, I'm low, this guy's trying to get his leg in, he's trying to move me, I'm blocking that leg out. When I get an opportunity, I'm gonna grab these fingers, and now I'm out. Push back, I keep that hand on that leg, because his last ditch effort might be to throw it in, and I keep my hips away. Pressure, knees down, I'm out. When you do get your chance to get away, you frickin' explode and you go. Because again, they get an opportunity, and it could be a halfway leg, that's all they need, some of those best guys. Other option, I'm not as good with this. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm tight. I'm not tight, I'm short, so I get tipped easy. Our assistant coach, like, he only does this, he's pretty dang good at it, is the knee pinch, here. So we're on top, he's on top, we're wrestling, I know legs coming in, or maybe the leg beats my arms. As the leg's coming in, I'm just pinching my knees together here. It could get halfway in, and all I have to do is pinch it, right? And then I just stay tight right here. I don't let him force his leg in, I don't let it work, I get tough, so to speak, and I pinch that leg. Once I'm here, I don't like going under. A real good leg guy is gonna trap your arm, now I'm in big trouble. I like grabbing the foot here, so go try to go here, I'll grab under the foot, and now I stand up and I keep the leg. I don't throw it out, I keep the leg. So here.
Zane.
Not working that hard, dude.
It's a little waters for little guys.
I don't have to come back to that. Nice. So, we're wrestling, you know, maybe I'm moving. At any point, this leg tries to come in, I pinch my knees together, catch the hand over, not here. I mean, you can grab it here. I like over because it's easier to pull out. And I pick it up, and I keep it up to my feet. Even if it's right here, bring two hands down, hold it. But I really want to keep this leg because this is a really bad spot for him to try to hold on my feet, right? He's not very balanced, and I can kind of move and wiggle. I wrestle, and then I don't rider. So again, and that really can happen anywhere. I can get to my butt. I know he's a leg rider. You know, maybe he tries to throw a leg in. I pinch. Now I get back to my base. His leg comes out. I keep that leg. Huge detail. Get to your feet, throw it out. The other, yeah. This one, I don't like this one. I don't think it's very reliable. It kind of works if you time it. Is like the back kick. So as he's throwing a leg in, I time it and I kick this leg back. And I slide it through. And it's really good whenever, like, as he's trying to hook your leg. So it's coming in as he's trying to hook. I kick out and I slide it through. Problem with that is, though, I'm literally right back into the same position. All he has to do is swim his leg back in front. Right? That one's better if you transition off of your leg kick. So he's here, he tries to throw it in. I transition right away off of my leg kick. Right? And that's an option. You know, maybe like it's in real deep. I can't get my legs together. I try to kick and swim it out. Here. First things first, I got to beat this hand. If he keeps this arm under my arm, I'm not getting out. I'm probably getting turned. So either get your face on the mat and swim it, or slap it out like we were on our butt here. Slap it out. But it's more or less, as I feel like that leg came in, and as it's coming in, if I know I'm not going to get beat by it, I've got to get that elbow in. This cannot separate from my side. If it does, I'm probably getting ridden here. It's just so hard to get that arm off, and he has so many good things from there. Doesn't matter who the guy is. I have to get this arm tight. Once I get it tight, I don't like messing around. I want to get right to my butt here. I pull my foot out for a good balance. This elbow's in, and this stays tight. He's going to do everything he can to get his hand in, pull my arm out. I have to keep this arm tight. Again, everything comes from right here. Power half, turking me over, getting his other leg in, you know, coming over, cross facing the other side. That all happens because this arm comes off my side. I've got to be here. Chest tight to his leg. I'm low, I'm not getting up. This isn't bad. I'd say we're probably 60-40 him right here as opposed to 90-10. Right? So this isn't bad position. This is probably your best bet once it's in. So once it's here, you know, if I can reach down,